Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Finally, Nintendo Crank won't just refer to me and Mark. No one is here, but a church bell will ring, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society will ring with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including a recap of last week's Indie World Showcase and the reveal of the My Nintendo line of products for preschoolers. And then on Thursday, we're celebrating the Virtual Boy's 30th anniversary in the only way we know how, which is a ranking of some kind, we think. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. The Zelda 2 quote for today, no one is here, but a church bell will ring.
It's very evocative.
Doesn't it just seem like the chorus of a song that would be on the My Best Friend's Wedding soundtrack?
Sure. That's interesting because to me it feels more ominous than that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. To me, it feels like, a song about a canceled wedding.
Sure.
And so
right.
I'm still at the chapel.
Right.
And the bell's still ringing.
Some kind of like Amy Grant song.
Yeah, possibly.
Is that like what you hear?
Yeah,
like
possibly.
Vaguely Christian, right?
We have our suspicions.
Right. No, I like it. No one is here, but a church bell will ring. For something that like an NPC says to Link, that's evocative.
Yeah,
I
see what you're saying. It could very well have some sort of like horror connotations to it.
It's like
why is that church bell ringing? No one's
right.
here.
No one's lived at that churchyard
since the murders.
Yeah, I mean that's the vibe I get from
it.
I'm glad we still have so much Zelda 2 dialogue to get through before we have to pick a new game or
figure out
something else. But it's been working well, and I think the Zelda 2 stuff just gets like weirder and weirder. Sometimes we get to talk about Bagoo, we get to talk about being error. Like it's all very good.
It's all good stuff.
Sometimes it's not good stuff, and then we skip that. But if people would like to support us, Mark, they can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. And if they're doing so or if they are supporting us there at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, they get access to our mini-series like NCS at the Movies.
Yeah, where Patrick and I are together going to a movie theater, seeing a movie, sometimes with a special guest, and then talking about it afterwards. It's been a lot of fun. In July, we did 2 episodes, Superman 2025, the Fantastic Four First Steps, and then at the beginning of August, we did The Naked Gun 2025, and
there'll be another one in September sometime.
That's right.
So look out for that. Also, we have all these other miniseries that we have recorded previously, and you can get access to the back catalog there by supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels. NCS Detective Club, Arcade, and Goes Broadway. So all kind of self-explanatory titles, right? Right, they make sense.
And if they're not, hopefully it's a hook. So you want to go check.
That's right.
You want to go figure out what it is.
What do they mean?
Exactly.
Why did they name that?
Why is there no one there but a church bell is ringing?
It's mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
What is the name of that miniseries? What does it mean? You can also join our Discord, where people will probably just tell you what the miniseries is about. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And we will send you an invitation. A great place to have been during the Indie World Showcase because we were talking about it as it was airing live. But we will be talking about it later in this episode when we get to the news. But Mark, should we get into what we've been playing this week?
Let's do it.
I'd like to go first because I played a game that you had played last week. We talked a little bit about. This is the visual novella, or I don't even know, storytelling thing, Dear Me, I Was, from Arc System Works. And you would pitch it to me as like about a 45-minute and it is experience, and that's very true. It is wordless, really, and just tells the story of the entire life of a woman from childhood to like older age. And I feel like you maybe soft pedaled it a little bit, Mark, because I think it was like quite good and quite moving.
Yeah, I don't think I meant to soft pedal it. I think you just liked it more than I did.
Oh, that's totally possible. Yeah, I was like genuinely moved and like gasped at it a couple times. Thought it was really good. And you know, if you've got $8 and 45 minutes, there are certainly worse ways to spend your time and money.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth experiencing for sure. I'm
So
glad you liked it.
yeah, I really did, and I liked just living with that art style so much that I was like, do I need to go back and like play another code? You know, I put it down just because like it was kind of slow paced, and I was just like ready for something a little bit more actiony. But I've been playing so much like Donkey Kong Bonanza that like having a slow paced kind of meditative thing might be more like the escape that I need. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
interesting. You know, I've another code. I played both the games in the collection, and I by the end of the second game was like very sad to say goodbye to the characters, you
Yeah,
know, and like all of that. But I very different experience than Dear Me I Was.
yeah,
And the puzzle elements and all that kind of stuff, like the gameplay experience of Another Code Recollection is pretty clunky, but it really
sure,
was just, and even in the f- the second game is pretty radically different from the first game as an experience. There's way more characters. There's like a town and like a city that you're running around in and all that kind
yeah.
of stuff. But it is interesting that the I was kind of like emotionally um moved in some way by both of the games. Like I
Yeah,
would say that's
interesting.
kind of like the closest through line between them.
Between Another Code and Dear Me I Was.
Yeah.
I also just went ahead and ordered a copy of Hotel Dusk on eBay. So I'm like in the I'm in this mindset now.
I will be really interested, and maybe I can borrow your copy of Hotel Dusk when
Hmm.
you're finished with it. That you know, there were rumors that maybe Arc System Works was working on a remake of Hotel Dusk, but
Right.
my guess is that probably just ended up being Dear Me
Dear
I
Me I Was.
Was.
Yeah, that's really possible. I'm trying to remember the artist's name here. Um Taisuke Kanasaki is the artist that all three of these games are sort of centered around. Um, and
And
yeah,
meaning they are like the creator behind it.
no, he's like the visual artist
I
that
see.
is
Okay.
like the sort of established style for all three games. But yeah, as far as I know, they have like different directors and like producers and stuff. But yeah, all kind of unified by his visual expression of art and people and stuff, which is also like a part of the story of Dear Me I Was. That like artistic expression and what that means for you and how you use that to get through difficult points in your life, how you get it use it to like expand your perception of life. And I just thought it was all quite good, if incredibly brief. So okay, Dear Me I Was. We've talked about it now. I feel good. Um, I've also been playing the original Legend of Zelda on the NES. I sort of started playing it on a whim. And as you were coming over to record an episode, I don't know why. I just like started playing and was letting the sort of like, you know, my memorization of the game just kind of like take over. And I realized there are a few like corners of the game that I don't have like well under my fingers. Like I can never remember where level 2 is. The
Mm.
second dungeon. That's the second one, Mark. So I looked it up and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna remember where it is. I gotta like go like north a little bit from the first dungeon. I gotta go through the desert. I gotta go like past the forest and loop back around from the west back east. And so hopefully I remember that in the future. But maybe I won't. Cause like cause otherwise I know where the first like 6 dungeons are just like by memory, right? Um, but not having that second one there, man, is a real kick in the teeth.
once you get into the dungeons, do you also remember your way through those?
No, I gotta discover my way
Oh,
through them every time. The only one that I feel like I just know is the first one, and part of that is from it being presented like piecemeal in Nintendo World Championships.
Oh.
To the point where I know how to speed run that level way better than I know, because like I know exactly how to run through it and not get the bow. But like you need the bow, so there was a thing that I beat it and then was like, oh yeah, I should go back in there and get the item. I know it's in there somewhere. And kind of had to poke around. But you know, like exploration is kind of like part of the game there. So you know, it's fun.
If you had to guess, how many times have you played the original Legend of Zelda?
All the way through.
I don't know.
I think all the way through maybe 3
Uh-huh.
times. But like have gotten deep enough into the game where maybe like 10,
Okay, yeah.
maybe. Yeah, it's a hey.
I mean, that's way more
It's a
than
good
I
game.
have. Yeah, yeah. I've been playing the Dragon Drive Global Jam.
Let's talk about this because I missed the 3 opportunities to play it over the weekend. I would love to hear your experience with it.
Yeah, I only had a chance to dive in for a little bit on Sunday. I played it for about an hour right before like the demo ended. And, you know, I had basement level expectations for this, right?
Right.
Like I didn't even watch the overview trailer that they released last week. Like
You refused.
I just written it off. Like I did not care about Dragon Drive at all. And I had a lot of fun with it.
Huh.
Yeah, I found the controls to be like fun and pretty intuitive, and the demo anyways like did a pretty good job of like walking you through it like step by step. But I found it really easy to pick up, and I definitely hadn't like mastered the controls by any means. And there's a lot of things that the demo is like, go check out how to do that like later. Like there's a bunch of tricks, and you know, people you can do like slam dunks and all this kind of stuff that like I was not executing at all. But the core gameplay, like in a match itself, was super fun. The one thing I'll say with the controls is that at first I was kind of like sitting on the floor at my in front of my coffee table and trying to play it that way because I had more space.
Right.
But my arms were kind of like elevated because of that.
Oh, you don't want that.
That was too tiring.
Yeah.
I actually found it easiest to play just like using my legs, you know, like as the table or whatever, you know what I mean?
As the surface for the mouse.
But I was definitely when I realized that I was kind of like hooked on it was the first few matches. It puts you in a like you versus the computer match first. So it's like you have 2 computer companions, and then it's a team of like 3 computer players. And so you do that, and then it puts you in a park. And when you're in a park, you have the opportunity to just kind of like, you can either say, I want to participate every time, or I just want to participate if you need me. Like, if there's not enough people in the park.
Yeah.
So I put that setting on first, and when I got pulled in, it was like a 3-on-3. And so that was pretty fun. But then I got pulled into another one, and it was just 2-on-2. And
I was not aware there was a 2-on-2.
I think it should be 3. I think they want it to be 3-on-3 matches, but if there aren't enough people, then I think they do a 2-on-2. And it really took me back to like PE class and being like
in a good way or
in a bad way. Okay. Like being on like when I saw that it was 2-on-2, I was like, oh, there's no place for me to hide. Like I actually have to like try to execute. And the part that was
someone's counting on
me. Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone's counting on me. But the reason that was a turning point is because like I was able to contribute, and you know, we won, and it was like all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, like I understand why I found it like addicting. Like I wanted to keep going. I wish I had more time to play more. So I ended up pre-ordering it.
Whoa.
I think the downside is, you know, I'm going to be traveling a little bit, and it really is a game that, you know, you can't play it all in handheld mode, right?
Right, because you need to use the mouse controls.
Right, yeah. And like hard to do that when you're traveling. You
Here's
know
what
what I mean?
you do: you get the internet on the plane. You pull down the tray tables on your left and on your right.
Yep.
And
you pull up your pant legs.
And you pull up your pant legs. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder. Actually, that's a great question. Is it better to play on pants, or is it better to play on skin? What do you think is better for the mouse controls?
I mean, I've got hairy legs.
Yeah, me too.
So I would say probably better on
Probably
pants.
pants.
Probably better on pants.
Well, the other thing is I didn't play with.
Or we shave our legs.
That's probably optimal. That's probably optimal. I'll look into that.
Will you commit for Dragon Drive?
How much do you want to play
Yeah.
Dragon Drive? The other thing is I didn't play with the Joy-Con straps on.
Okay.
Which those have, like, and I learned this because this weekend I was also playing some more Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. But part of it, of like the Joy-Con 2 straps is that they have a larger surface for, to make it easier to like balance the Joy-Con 2 when you're using it in mouse mode, and it also has like bigger like pads.
Yeah, they've got like little feet almost.
Yeah. So, but I didn't do that, and I do wonder if also that would just make it easier to play.
Yeah, I don't know. I use that. I use the feet when I am messing around with Mario Paint. Yeah.
Yeah, on the original Switch, I never used the Joy-Con strap ever. After a few months of owning the system, I found them so annoying. But I'm assuming the new ones would be way better because you don't have to slide it on rails. Like they just kind of snap into place.
Yeah,
easier to use.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're easier to use. They're certainly like they don't have that weird release button on them, or like what it was like a little plastic like T thing that you had to like pull up to make them like loose enough to slide off. Yeah, I don't know.
The other thing I want to say about Global Jam or about Dragon Drive is that the game visually is much more inviting than the trailers. And probably in the most recent trailer, the overview trailer, it looks that it looks like the final game. But I remember from the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal direct, and I just thought it looked so bland and so kind of like dark. But the game itself, I was pleasantly surprised. Like the parks have a lot of character. They have a lot of like things of visual interest, and like overall, I don't know how much I will end up playing it. It's a bummer that I won't really be in a situation where it'll be good to play that opening weekend. But I was genuinely impressed. I had a good time.
Yeah, well, and games exist beyond their opening weekend too.
I know, but then other games come out, and
that's true.
You feel like you're just always trying to stay caught up with whatever the newest thing is.
Hey, we're only 2 weeks away then from the Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
I know.
Star-Crossed World. So yeah, it's the things do keep coming out. Although once we are on the other side of that precipice 2 weeks from now, then we don't have release dates for anything from Nintendo.
We don't have release dates, but I still think all the stuff they said is coming in 2025 is coming. So
I do too, but you know how I feel when we get to a point where we don't have more release dates, where I'm like, I know.
No, it's true. It's true. We need that handrail.
Yes. So I've been playing some other games too. What do I actually want to talk about here? Mario Kart World. Sarah and I played some of the online knockout tour, as we do from time to time. But she was like playing in Sunday afternoon, and so I joined her for a little bit. Mark, I'd never won one of these knockout tours. I've seen Sarah win, and I've gotten second before. In our play session, when we maybe did like 6 races, I got first twice.
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
Thank you. And I would have gotten it a third time. But my left Joy-Con 2 died.
Oh no!
So I
blamed it on the tools.
It died. I was in first place I'd stolen first place in the final the final 4. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I think that the Joy-Con 2 are less good at holding a charge.
Oh, that's interesting.
Than the Joy-Con 1. I have an extra pair of them, so I always have a set charging on the Switch 2, and then another set that's like sitting up there waiting for to jump in as player 2 for Mario Kart World, almost exclusively at this point. But Yeah, I have like just found like it's kind of frequent where it's like, oh, I need to switch them so that these can charge and that the other ones can be like the active Joy-Con.
Yeah, that could totally be true. Have all this is going way back to like the original Switch, and maybe not the first pair of Joy-Con I had, but maybe the second pair of Joy-Con. I felt like maybe it was probably defective Joy-Con, but if I had the Switch in the dock with the Joy-Con connected,
Yeah,
I had a set that like the batteries just basically like got burned up and they stopped holding a
interesting.
charge. And so since then, I've been spooked. And I have no idea if it's a real thing to be concerned about or if I just happen to have a bad set of Joy-Con
Yeah,
and I just went out of my way to avoid that problem in the future. But I don't put my Switch 2 in the dock with the Joy-Con for very long. I'll leave the system docked,
and you just
but
pull the
after a
Joy-Cons
while, I'll
off.
just
That's
like
interesting.
you know, I'll just pull the Joy-Con off. But I haven't noticed it with the Joy-Con. I play the Switch 2 a lot in handheld mode, so they're constantly kind of like
Yeah,
charging. But I do think that the Switch 2 has pretty bad battery life. Like I feel like after 2 hours of playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, it was basically like I'm done. Like I can't. You need to charge me again.
yeah,
Which just um, it feels a lot less than what you were getting from like the Switch. It
yeah,
feels noticeable. I feel like I
yeah.
always have to charge it.
Yeah, even though I guess like that was sort of the expected life of like if you were playing Breath of the Wild or something, right, in handheld mode, that at least at launch that it would go for about like 2.5 hours.
That's probably true, and I think Nintendo in their like battery life says 2.5 to 4 hours or something like
Right.
that. So they weren't ever promising crazy battery life, but it does feel like I'm just constantly having to check the charge of the Joy-Con
Yeah,
or like
totally.
the system or whatever.
And as long as we're just like airing like minor controller grievances, I was having a tough time in the NES Legend of Zelda just controlling Link with any like real accuracy or specificity with the Pro controller because like trying to control him with a thumbstick is bad. Um, but then also trying to control him with the D-pad also extremely difficult. Like it was
Oh,
registering a lot of false inputs. So he would like turn on a dime or like and you can really screw up your like positioning against enemies that way. Like in a combat encounter, it can really be detrimental to not be able to have precise inputs. And so like I switched over to using the NES controllers, and that was much 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 better. And I'm just like I'm kind of perplexed as to like why this D-pad is still not very good.
yeah, that's so interesting because I feel like the I don't have any experience with it myself, but I feel like the um general consensus on the Pro controller D-pad is that it's good.
I would disagree. I would say
Yeah.
the D-pad on the Pro controller not good. I actually much prefer playing in handheld because then I'm using the like detached up down left
Yeah,
right
yeah.
buttons that are on the Joy-Con. The only other thing that I wanted to shout out here that I have been playing, I did pick up UFO 50 after the reveal and launch of it on Thursday last week, and I've only played two of the games in there. And the first one, I'm just approaching them in order. There are 50 little mini games in here. And the first one is like a sort of adventure, like Metroidvania-y kind of game, but with like more primitive presentation. I didn't get very far in that before I was like, too slow, not having fun. But then the next one is like a grid-based. It's called Bug Hunt. It's a grid-based sort of like strategy game where you have a limited number of moves per turn, and your moves are like actual movement and combat, and then some like random effects that you can select from like things that are across the bottom of the screen. And if you collect resources during your turn, you can buy more moves
Mm.
to use in that turn. And at the beginning of each new turn, you get like a fresh set of moves. And all the enemies have like different little. There are enemies on the board, and you're supposed to wipe them all out, or survive to the end of like the 10-day cycle or something like that, 10-turn cycle. And it's really I've not yet completed a cycle or beaten all the bugs. But man, it's so great and so addicting and fun. And I'm like, yeah, it's this and then 48 other games that I still have to check out. So I'm very excited to continue exploring UFO 50. All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
First, let's check in on Nintendo Music app, and this week's new soundtrack is Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. This is not a soundtrack that I know very well.
I was just singing a piece of music from it.
Through context clues, I assumed that's what that was, but I would not have immediately been able to clock it as Captain Toad Treasure Tracker without that context.
That's exciting. We were just talking about this on our Budget Games episode. A fantastic game and a fun, cute, but like kind of on the cute side. So maybe it doesn't hold up that well as like a thing to listen to on its own. But I bet it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of check it out. I just out of curiosity, I wanted to see how it was cataloged, because obviously there's a Wii U version, there's a Nintendo 3DS version, and there's a Switch version, and it seems like they labeled it as a Switch game. Just a thing that I wanted to look up.
I appreciate you sharing that with me. It's important to know.
And then on Thursday,
I mean that sincerely.
And then on Thursday, August 14th, EA Sports Madden NFL 26 is officially released on Switch 2 and other platforms.
Yeah, the beta is active right now.
Yeah, yes. Early access.
Yeah.
And then Drag and Drive.
Beta may not be that may not be the right term, but yes, early access. Sorry.
And then Drag and Drive is also released on Thursday.
A first-party Nintendo game. So cool. And you've already pre-ordered it.
Yep.
Am I gonna buy this game?
I would. Actually, are they due? I know it's only $20, but I wonder if they will have. I think it'd be a nice game to have a demo for outside of the Global Jam.
Sure.
To let people check it out for themselves, because it is unusual, like the control scheme and all of that. But
I just wonder if they're like, in the amount of time that someone would spend with a demo, they would decide that they like it and have had their fill. Like both
yeah.
things
No. I
true,
see. I totally see what you mean. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll have to see. We'll see next week if I bought it or not. All right, Mark, let's close out the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, we have a question here that was submitted to us by Matt from our 866 episode. Matt wants to know, what animals are the cutest as babies?
So, what actually is being asked in this question? Is it animals that are in their cutest form when they are babies, or the cutest animal babies?
I think it's the latter. Like, I don't think it's like where that have the biggest disparity. Where you're like, oh,
yeah.
that frog,
ugly adults.
That's an ugly adult frog, but that baby frog is cute.
Yeah, got it.
I have friends who just had a baby. The baby human, and the baby human is quite cute, but also has that like weird little baby quality to it.
Babies are so funny because they're like 3 heads tall.
Yeah, like a Smurf.
The proportions are so weird. Like, imagine if as they grew, like adults were also just 3 heads tall.
Yeah, I don't like that, and I won't participate in it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
see.
I think Campbell's very cute. But we can. What do we? I want to take humans off the table.
Fair, yeah. I mean, humans can't hold a candle to like kittens
or puppies
anyways. So
kittens and puppies, tough to beat. And these are also just like animals that humans are close to, right?
Encounter, fairly often,
right?
We have like a family of skunks that frequent our backyard.
Yes.
And they've grown from when they first showed up, but when it was like a mom with 3 babies initially, and I'm assuming they're skunks and not black cats that like crawled under a recently painted fence or something.
You have to make that assumption. Yes.
But the babies were cute.
Yes.
Terrifying because they were.
You don't want to get sprayed.
I don't want to get sprayed. But, I was just flipping the lights on and off before I took the trash out, checking the windows.
Let them scurry away.
Let them scurry away. But they were cute.
I agree. Baby skunks are cute. I like the way skunks walk. They're all kind of bow-legged, And in a baby, it's even cuter because it's an extreme waddle.
Yes.
And you just don't see that in that many mammals. The other day at my office, we have some pots outside in these big racks, and there were 2 baby possums.
Oh.
In one of these things, and they were quite cute.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's something. All possums have this kind of white fur mask over their eyes, and that looks kind of skeletal on an adult possum. On a baby possum, it just looks cute.
Fun.
And they got those big rat tails, which is kind of yeah. But they looked quite cute.
You were saying possum, and all of that makes sense. In my head, I was picturing an armadillo.
No, I don't know that I could picture what a baby armadillo looks like.
I'm imagining just a regular armadillo, just tiny.
Right. How do you feel about bird babies?
I don't like birds in general.
No birds.
Yeah, and bird babies, the worst of the worst.
But what about a duckling?
Okay, ducklings can be cute, or a newborn chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to pick the right bird, and then you're okay.
No, I mean, I categorically do not want a bird around me.
Right.
I don't want to hold a bird. I don't want, a baby duckling in my hands.
Uh-huh.
But I can objectively say that they're cute.
So I should return the parrot I got you for your birthday.
Please.
Okay, great.
Please. That parrot would not be loved in this home.
No, it would not. And it would probably outlive you.
It would probably outlive me. You could say that about most things, though.
I don't think that's true at all.
Let's see. Other cute baby animals. I think most baby mammals are cute. I think most baby other things are probably not cute. Like a baby lizard, it just looks like a little lizard.
Yeah, but I don't dislike a baby lizard.
There was that one on my doorstep the other day.
There was, yeah.
And it was really tiny.
He was really tiny, and I was very careful. I was coming over to record with you, and I was very careful to not scare him into your house.
That would have been bad.
Because that's a disaster.
It could have gotten anywhere.
Yeah.
And then it would have grown.
You know what? Insects are never cuter as babies.
No. How do you even know that you're looking at a baby insect?
This is I mean, sometimes...
If it's like a larva?
Yeah. Sometimes if it's a larva or a caterpillar or something.
I know I said...
I do like a caterpillar.
Yeah. But is a caterpillar a young...
Butterfly?
I mean...
We have to believe that.
No, I hear what you're saying. And I know it to be true.
Oh, very good. Mark, we were accompanied... So we did not determine what the cute... puppies, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, sure.
Were you going to say possibly kittens?
I was going to say possibly kittens, but I think, whatever way the wind is blowing, I could change my mind.
Right. Which one am I looking at now?
Yeah, baby koalas, cute. Not cute as adults, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think they're not cute as adults. Like pandas.
Pandas.
Problem with pandas and any marsupial is that they come out sort of embryonic. They're not formed yet. And that's not cute.
Wait, pandas aren't marsupials.
Are they not?
I don't think so. You
might
be wrong,
right, because they're more closely related to raccoons.
Okay.
Which, hey, raccoons.
Yeah.
Look, we were cut off like a full minute ago. We can't keep having this conversation.
As long as we determine that birds are disgusting.
Except for possibly ducks.
I don't want to hold them.
Mark doesn't want to hold them. I'll also return these flamingos I got you. Today we were accompanied by the BBC Symphony Orchestra as conducted by Lawrence Foster. All right, Mark, let's get into the news. All right, well, so those are... No, that's bizarre. Why would that happen? That's actually a preview of an episode from 3 weeks from now. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Hey, there was an Indie World Showcase
Sure
last
was.
week.
Yes.
So let's kind of run down the announcements on it. But first, this is the first Indie World Showcase of the Switch 2 era. What did you think?
Well, so I feel like there were a lot of expectations going into this one, partially because during the Switch 2, like, not reveal event, but they're like the proper Switch 2 Direct, that there was a lot of checking in with indie studios, right? And in particular, like Supergiant, and we, got like confirmation that Hades 2 was going to be coming to Switch, not necessarily sometime this year. And there are a handful of other just like heavy hitter indie games that are like waiting in the wings that we could use updates on. And I would say that this was not a great vehicle for updates on those things. It was kind of a different set of updates. And generally speaking, there was a lot in here that I was either interested in already or excited to discover, or surprised was launching on Switch today like UFO 50. So I liked this presentation. It's a breezy 15-minute long. And got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch it. What did you think, Mark?
Yeah, I did not watch it live. I watched it a little bit later in the day, and I also thought it was kind of the platonic ideal of what I want out of an Indie World Showcase, where, like you said, it was 15 minutes long. Not all of the games looked like they were for me, but I didn't feel like there were any duds in there.
Always going to be the
I
case,
know, but
right?
I feel like in some of the longer ones, it's like, oh boy, I'm really checking my watch, being like, we've got to move on. I liked that they only had a couple of the developer intros. I feel like that kept things moving quickly. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't remember the last time that there was an indie world showcase that I left and was like, wow, that really blew my socks off. And so this version of it, where it was short to the point and none of the games looked like real dogs, like I thought that was kind of ideal.
Yeah, I would also say that, like, in terms of like there being huge games in here, it started with Mina the Hollower and ended with UFO 50. And mind you, UFO 50 was in the like sizzle reel at the end instead of being like its own featured segment. But then Nintendo also released a video at like the exact same time that was like 2.5 minutes of UFO 50. I don't know why they didn't close with that and like give it the pomp and circumstance that it deserves. But like that's beginning and ending with sort of like megaton
totally
indie games. And then everything in between was like new and interesting, and I wanted to learn more.
Yeah, I mean, we can start with Mina the Hollower. Like you said, it was the first one, but we knew that it was coming to Nintendo Switch, right? So,
and we knew the release date too, October 31st, Halloween. We didn't know that there was a demo, and the demo is available now. I have not picked it up yet, but I kind of like. Do I need the demo for? I'm gonna get Mina the Hollower.
That's how I
it,
feel after Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Is I ended up really loving Shovel Knight, and so I'm like, oh, I for sure am gonna buy Mina the Hollower. So yeah, it's not a game that needs a demo to convince me to pick it up.
Mina the Hollower, of course, developed by Yacht Club Games, who's a studio who did the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove and all the individual like games that are in that. I did like seeing like just a little bit more footage of it where like it seemed really fast and action packed and like kind of hard, and like it seems like it's going to be kind of a punishing Link's Awakening style combat explory thing. I don't know, it seems really, really rad.
Yeah, I hope that it's like, for me personally, I hope it's the difficulty of like a Hollow Knight, not Hollow Knight, excuse me, Shovel Knight, where I felt like it was always fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was able to beat it because I could continue getting good at it. There was never a point where I was like, I'm just done with this. Like, this is too hard.
Right. Yeah.
And then next up was Well Dweller, which is coming out in 2026. This is from Kyle Thompson, the developer of Crypt Custodian, which is another like Metroidvania game that I think released a couple of years ago, is available on Switch, and is very highly regarded, like well loved. So I think this, you play as like a bird type creature, which
Mark loves.
We've already discussed. But yeah, Well Dweller.
Then we see Neverway, which is a sort of a spooky take on a cozy game, which I feel like is becoming like a bit of a subgenre of the cozy game. Fiona quits her job, starts over on a farm, and becomes an immortal herald of a dead god. Great, really good log line there. And like the it looks like one of those like cozy kind of farm sim games, but with like kind of twisted Halloweeny trappings on it. It's funny. I feel like Cult of the Lamb started this, right? Where it's like both a simulation game and like a little bit on the cozy side, but also dark and messed up.
And this is from the artist who worked on Celeste.
Yes.
And has a soundtrack by somebody who now I can't remember what the other things they did.
That's right.
But a soundtrack by somebody.
I'll look it up while you do the next one.
Up next is Herdling, which comes out on August 21st. It's like you're on an expedition with a herd of these like cute beasts. Cute, I guess, like lovable is the way they describe them.
Yeah, mysterious too.
Yes, you're going up like a mountain path, encountering enemies and like obstacles and all that kind of stuff. I think these are very different games, but I got real Journey vibes from this.
Yeah, well, it's always interesting to see these indie games that have a borderline AAA presentation, right? Like it's obviously like more abstract and like lower fidelity than like a big open world game would be from like a big studio, but yeah, like it's a fully 3D kind of environment, and I know that that's just like what indie games are capable of being right now. But yeah, it had that like meditative going through this giant world quality to it.
Disasterpiece is the name of the composer on
yes,
Neverway, and they worked on Hyper Light Drifter.
Very good. All right, so Herdling. Next, we saw Is This Seat Taken, which was available the same day, which is a little logic puzzle game. There's also a demo available for it, and it's a $10 game, so not a big deal if you want to spend $10. But yeah, like the premise being that like you have all these little pretty simplistically expressed characters that are just like simple shapes. And they have wants, like I want to be somewhere where near the window, but it needs to be quiet. So you just need to arrange them, seating in like various areas. It looked really cute.
Yeah, the reviews for this are great.
Are they really?
Yeah, I wish listed it to pick it up later, maybe when it goes on sale or something, or when I'm looking for something to play. One of the things that they tout about it is that there's no timer. So it's really just about figuring out the puzzles at your own pace, which that sounds really appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Up next is a free update for Little Kitty Big City called the Picture Perfect Update that's coming later this year. Looks cute, like customization options for your cat, an expanded photo mode.
Is this the third Indie World Showcase that has featured Little Kitty Big City?
It gets a lot of
I think it gets a lot of
screen time. Yeah.
Also, before we continue down this, I was not really tracking in this to what was Switch versus Switch 2.
Okay, so the only thing that there are some games that have like Switch 2 versions, seemingly, like Mina the Hollower is one of those.
Oh, okay.
But the only thing that is Switch 2 exclusive that is not coming to Switch is Glaciered, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Okay, interesting.
Everything else is either on Switch and Switch 2 or in most cases was just on Switch, and then of course will be playable on Switch too.
Of course. Next up was Content Warning. Get Famous or Die Trying. It's a co-op like horror game where you are like sent into these spooky places that all seem to be like haunted factories or houses or whatever. And you're trying to capture video footage of the scariest thing imaginable, and then it gets uploaded to some sort of scary internet, and then you get points or money or whatever based on that.
And it's all goofy.
Yeah.
And I was not aware this game came out in 2024, and again is super well reviewed, highly regarded. I thought this looked so funny, and it was new to me, and this looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree that it does look very funny. It is also the kind of game that I'm just never gonna play.
I feel like if I had like a group of friends that were into it, I think it'd be a lot of fun. But yes, I don't know what exactly that would look like in my life. Up next was
to have a group of friends
that all wanted to play Content Warning. Yeah,
I see. Yes.
Up next is Ball Pit, which is coming out this fall on Switch 2. but October
and
15th on Switch.
And it is spelled Ball Cross Pit.
Yes, but it is just pronounced Ball Pit.
Fine.
And this is like an action roguelike, seems like a breakout game mixed with a top-down like shmup.
Yeah, and it seems like it's got a little bit of like Tetris Effect energy to it, where it's like trying to overwhelm you with like things on screen and like music and lights and particles and stuff like that. Ball Pit seems pretty cool. I am interested in Ball Pit.
Yeah, it did look pretty cool.
Next up is Ultimate Sheep Raccoon. This is like a sequel to Ultimate Chicken Horse. Is that right?
I don't know what Ultimate Chicken Horse is.
It's basically this. So this is described as a bike racing party game where you and your friends build a course of ramps, obstacles, and traps. So it's like physics-based puzzle, like racing, messing with each other kind of game. And if it is anything like Ultimate Chicken Horse, which I think it is, but Mark is looking it up.
Wait, so this one is called Ultimate Sheep Raccoon, yet that Ultimate Sheep Raccoon is a spiritual successor to Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Okay, so Ultimate Chicken Horse is a spiritual prequel.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, so up to 8 players locally online, and it's cross-platform. So this is every now and then there's a game that is like cross-platform multiplayer where you're like, oh yeah, this will actually work to like this is why I played Broforce for a couple hours the other night, is because my other friends on different platforms could all play it together.
Up next is Glaciered, the game that I talked about that is the only Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive game in the Indie World Showcase. This is a timed console exclusive on Nintendo Switch 2 that's supposed to be launching holiday 2025. This is the one where like the 65 million years in the future, it's like a gigantic sheet of ice covers the earth and you're a bird.
So it's like the opposite of that Adam Driver movie from last year, 65 million years in the past. Do you remember it's called 65 million?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like Adam Driver as like a spaceman fights dinosaurs.
Okay.
It's supposed to be terrible.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yes, it's the opposite of that.
Thank you.
It's the opposite of that. And you're like a bird, aquatic thing, and you're. So I could not tell what this game is. They talk about like combat, like you have melee attacks, then also have like ranged attacks while you're exploring this underwater space. And then I was looking at some like PC previews of it, and they were saying that the combat is like Bayonetta, like it's like an action like game, like that sort of thing.
Wait, but this is the game where like you see echoes of like previous players' run through of it, right? And you have to like follow them.
No, I don't.
Is that not
think
this game?
so.
Am I thinking of a different game?
I'm not sure, or I guess could be. I don't know. To me, it's just like you're this bird dude floating around in the underwater, and there's some giant like aquatic sea creatures.
Yes, I'm thinking of something else.
Okay.
This seemed like a real well, it is combat focused, just sort of like an underwater like action exploration game.
Yeah, I think that's why when the combat was referred to as Bayonetta-esque, that really surprised me.
Yeah,
because I didn't necessarily get that from the trailer.
Here's the thing: when a video game goes underwater, I expect it to slow down, right? When things are fast underwater, I feel like we can hear the screech of Echo the dolphin. We can recognize the little stars on his dolphin face.
I mean, that there is always the risk that you go too far Echo, but maybe they found the perfect balance.
And then we kind of close on a sizzle reel. Let's just shout out the things in the sizzle reel that we found interesting. Kind of for me, just like UFO 50 and Tiny Bookshop.
Yeah, Tiny Bookshop, another game that was available the day of the Indie World Showcase and has great reviews. So also looks like a lot of fun if you're looking for just kind of like a new take on a cozy game.
You didn't happen to pick up Tiny Bookshop?
No, I haven't picked up that. What I've taken to doing is instead of buying things and then not playing them, I've taken to putting them on my wish list and just kind of like putting a pin in it until I either have the opportunity or it goes on sale or something. So that's where I'm at with a lot of these right now.
Mentioned UFO 50 and what we've been playing, and I have played a little bit of it and really like it, and I expect to keep messing with it. I think it's $25, so 50 cents a game if you want to do the math. But I think it's really good and cool, and I'm not saying anything new about it. The game has been out on other platforms for a while, but I'm so glad it's finally on Switch.
Do the games, are all of 50
Yep.
unlocked?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of like choose where you want to start from the beginning.
There's like an order and like so the premise of UFO 50, if for those not familiar, is it is 50 games that are made by like an imagined game studio. And it starts in 1982 is like the release of their first game, and then they like each of the games in there in this collection has like a made up year that it came out, and like has credits of like the individual developers working at the studio. And so there's like a little bit of a fiction, a meta fiction about the studio that made these games. And it's not like there's a deeper meaning to draw, or at least from my experience of it so far, from this sort of like information about, or the made up information about these games. But it is a fun sort of way to contextualize them and be like, oh, okay, I can imagine there being like a progression in terms of technology or in terms of like characters or that kind of stuff. Much the same way that if you had, like Atari 50 or Atari what was it 50? Remember?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember.
Whatever. One of those that like you could actually play through those games like in release order and glean a little bit about like the direction of the industry through that. You could relive the imagined history of this video game studio, which is always fun. I like the idea that we are familiar enough now with like the like history and early days of video games to even riff on what those histories are. And that's like a fascinating superstructure for UFO 50, and then it helps that some of the games are like genuinely really fun.
Anything else you want to say about the Indie World Showcase before we move on?
No, not really. I think pretty good. We had sort of mentioned already that in 2 weeks' time we'll be past the release date of the last Nintendo thing on the calendar, or the last dated Nintendo thing on the calendar. It makes me feel now like with this thing out of the way too, where it's like, yeah, I mean, when do we think we're gonna get like the next big update on this stuff? Is there a September Nintendo Direct waiting for us?
Well, let's see. The Tokyo Game Show is usually around the time that
Gamescom is the end of August.
Yeah, Gamescom, I feel like Nintendo doesn't, I mean, we'll be
They show
talking about
up,
like
but yeah.
what they're showing up with, but I feel like they don't. So Tokyo Game Show is at the end of September 25th
Okay.
through 28th. And that is generally before Tokyo Game Show is historically when we've had like Nintendo September Direct. And I still expect that to be true. It would not shock me if at any time they're just like, here's the release date for something, that's
Metroid
coming this
Prime
year.
4.
Right.
I think we're going to get the release date for Metroid Prime 4 within the next 2 weeks before Kirby comes out is sort of my expectation.
Just like in Nintendo Today one day or something like that.
In Nintendo, or a Metroid Prime 2 or Metroid Prime 4 Direct. Like I think that's all very possible. And that it'll be, because I still think that game's going to come out in September, because we don't have anything in September at the moment. We know when Pokemon's coming out, that's October, and like the end of October at that. So I don't think they're going to let a whole month go by without having anything, especially when the two offerings for August are, the smaller release in the form of Dragon Drive and the extra Kirby and the Forgotten Land stuff. I think then they can't let all of September go by with nothing.
Yeah, how crazy would it be if they're like, we're blowing out Kirby Air Riders, and that's coming out in September, and then like Metroid Prime 4 is October or something like that.
I mean, it's possible. I don't think they'll put it out the same month as Pokemon Legends, though.
Oh, maybe you're right. For some reason, I was thinking that was a November.
Yeah.
Pokemon was a November game, but it's October this time.
It's late enough, October, like the 27th or something like that. It's late enough that it's basically November. But yeah, I still fully expect Prime 4 in September and Air Riders in November.
Nintendo has announced a new series of products aimed at young children called My Mario. The merchandise will be available in Japan at the end of this month, and with select items arriving elsewhere in the world in 2026. The goal with all of this, according to Nintendo, is to create things that parents and children can enjoy together. It's kicking off with a free app for Switch and iOS, launching August 26th. That is, to me, anyways, really similar to the start screen of Mario 64.
Yeah, you see Mario's face. You can stretch it. You can spin it. You can bop it.
Yep.
It's all these things.
Yeah. They're also releasing a series of 1 minute long stop motion animation videos featuring Mario that will be available on the My Mario website and other channels as well. Then they're launching with 2 physical products: a woodblock set featuring Mario and Luigi, plus, like stars and pipes and stuff like that from the Mushroom Kingdom.
It should be noted that these wood blocks are amiibo.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, or I guess maybe not surprising, because this is aimed at like a preschool audience.
Yes, I mean let's keep going through the stuff, because I have other thoughts about that.
Okay, and then also a Hello Mario board book is another thing that there is of the physical products that are coming out. And then they also showed off images of things like clothes, other toys, and just like general products like a dinnerware set and stuff like that. That is planned for the future, and they said that they'll be working with partners and things.
Yeah, and I think like overall there are like some subtle design tweaks to Mario and Pals in this set of products that just make them like a little bit cuter. Not quite on the same vector as like Super Mario Brothers Wonder, but yet another sort of branch of the Nintendo design tree, which I think is good and makes them like immediately like it's immediately apparent that it's for little kids. But on that topic, and the topic of the wood blocks also being amiibo, I do think that there is a like really quick pivot point from being young enough to play with blocks like that, and being old enough to really sloppily play with a Switch, right? When I learned about my Mario, it was in a text thread I have with some friends from college, and asking if we were going to talk about it on the show. I was like, yes, of course. And Andrew, who just had his second son, said, my preschooler is currently fighting bokoblins in Breath of the Wild right now, so I don't think he needs these toys. And that kid will be 5 in September, so like is young, is preschool. So like, yeah, I think there's, obviously they're trying to have an even younger like entry point for Nintendo products, and for Mario products in particular. And I think there's just like, why not make it an amiibo? Why not make that thing something that they can go back to and like get some use out of when they do graduate to video games themselves?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
When Sarah's nieces were in town for Christmas this year, they both have their Switch Lites, and so we were playing Mario Kart and a bunch of other games a lot. But one of the things that we did was get out my amiibo so they could scan in all of the amiibo costumes for Mario Kart. And like, if they just had those toys from and then realized, oh my god, we can scan these in and get new outfits, which aren't in Mario Kart World, but sure are in Mario Kart 8. Yeah, it's just that kind of connectivity is fun.
It's also kind of interesting to me that this My Mario merchandise is only going to be available in the Nintendo official stores, or at least that's where it's launching.
Oh, okay.
So it won't just be like in general retail in Japan. It'll still be specifically at those Nintendo branded stores, and I wonder if that will be true when some of this stuff starts to trickle out worldwide.
Do you know if they have said that they are doing that as like their plan forever? If that's like part of like the pilot program?
I don't know. Or like if it's just launching there and then it'll eventually. Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's how Alarmo started, right? But I think they were pretty expressly saying it's only available on My Nintendo and at Nintendo stores for now, and will be available at retailers later.
Yeah.
But also nothing in the history has ever been like the Alarmo launch. So we shouldn't look to it for examples of anything.
Yeah, I wonder now if the Alarmo ever went for general release in Japan, because I think they pushed that back. Was the last time that we talked about it. But yeah, who knows? That was a while ago.
What a weird product.
Gamescom is.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on this my Mario thing? Like,
I think your observation about the amiibo is very astute. I mean, clearly they are making no bones about the fact that they are targeting a young audience that otherwise would not be playing Nintendo games, right?
Yeah.
So instead of waiting for a child to be able to play with a video game system or even really watch their parents do it, they're introducing the character of Mario, while their brain is
earlier.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting with, we were talking about Super Mario Run on last week's episode, and like the sort of relationship between it and the Super Mario Brothers movie, that like movies are worldwide, right? Like movies go everywhere. And there was a spike in usage of Mario Run after the movie came out, because that's a game that you can play in all territories, and you don't need a Switch you just need a phone. And I think that this, even though like it's a physical object and and a phone app, I think it serves a little bit the same purpose, that like as Nintendo goes into these areas that are not solely video games, that are theme parks, that are movies, that there will be yet another touch point that isn't just, can you play the video game with these characters?
But like Nintendo talks about the fact that kind of everything they do is trying to direct people back to their hardware. And when you're putting Amiibo in the blocks, like that's pretty explicit.
Yep.
Gamescom is Europe's biggest gaming event, and the 2025 event kicks off in just a few weeks. It runs August 20th through the 24th. Nintendo is attending, which we knew, but they've revealed the games will be available to check out at its booth. So, playable on the show floor are going to be Borderlands 4, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, Donkey Kong Bonanza, EA Sports FC 26, Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which I want to call out because will this be the first time that these two are playable on the Switch 2?
I believe so, yes.
Because like Metroid Prime, I was trying to look back at like people's impressions and what they talked about
from the preview event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that Metroid Prime 4 was there, but I didn't see any, and some other third-party stuff, but I didn't see any mention of those two. And I think possibly this will be the debut of Borderlands 4 as well, but I feel like Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade are the two kind of like big question marks. Especially Elden Ring was announced as a 2025 release.
Right. So
we still haven't heard anything about it.
We should expect that to come out soon. And then, also on the indie side, Hades 2 and Hollow Knight Silksong are also supposed to be playable at Gamescom. Hollow Knight Silksong was playable on Switch at E3 2019.
Yeah.
As well. So
still so funny to me.
Yeah, me too.
And then, of course, like Mario Kart World will be there, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, the GameCube, like Nintendo Classics, Pokemon Legends EA, and then Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV.
Which is all kind of like expected stuff. Interesting to note that Kirby Air Riders.
Oh yeah, not on here.
Not on this list. That game feels further away. Like I still believe that they put a year on it, right? And they could have said 2026 or like coming soon or something like that. But they said 2025. So I sort of expect that they'll hit that. It'll just be late in this year. But
yeah, but it is, I mean, it does feel weird that we have seen nothing of the game it's supposed to release this year. But probably the next time we see it, it will be a big blowout. Yeah, and with like a release date and all that kind of stuff.
And it could be like anchoring the September Direct or, whatever.
Yeah, totally. Finally, a couple of new patent filings show some novel Joy-Con 2 attachments.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, so first of all, the fact that these were filed and are like publicly available before any product using it was announced indicates to me that these are ideas that Nintendo isn't pursuing, but still fun to talk about. The first is like a crank. almost like you imagine on like a fishing rod or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It snaps onto the Joy-Con 2 just like the Joy-Con 2 strap does, and if you look at the patent, the way that it tells that the crank is turning is because the wheel is being measured by like the mouse
Yeah, the
thing,
sort of like
whatever it's like.
optical reader or
Yes,
whatever it is. Yeah, and like what's interesting about this crank to me is that there are obviously a bunch of crank centric games being released on the Playdate, this handheld that has like a little crank in it. I wonder if like, even if this isn't a product that they're actually putting out, that they are thinking of ways to like court those games, or possibly they've even developed some internally and they're like, man, I wish we had like a fun little Playdate thing that we could release these on.
Yeah, I actually think, speaking of Playdate, that today or yesterday there was like, Blippo Plus, which is a collection of games that was on the Playdate Season 2. It got announced for Switch.
Oh, interesting.
It's a live-action new wave off-cable TV simulator. Channel surf the stars and discover the stackety radical world of Planet Blip. So yeah. Anyways,
a lot of words there.
And said with such confidence too. The second thing on this that was patented is like a clickable wheel. So it's like a wheel that you can turn and then also can be like pushed down as a button press.
So kind of combining the idea of the crank with just like you push in on it and it like hits probably that like ZR button.
Right, yeah.
What are they? It's SR, right?
Yes, SR.
Yes. Which hey, a clickable wheel, if we're going back to the days of like original iPod, like I'm in. Yeah, so these like you said, Mark, are just patents that they're filing, and that seldom leads to an actual product that people are buying. But I remember we had those patent filings around the the not camera sensor that's in the Alarmo, which is getting 2 separate mentions during this episode, incredibly. And then that product did come out.
Didn't they also patent some like gameplay mechanics that ended up being like a key part of Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah.
Like being able to I can't remember what they call it in the game anymore, but how you can like go through the ceiling of places. I feel like they filed patents for that.
Yeah. You're right. They did. All like kind of interesting stuff just to like tune into. I like the idea also that they're thinking of other ways to use the Joy-Con 2. I think the mouse functionality is interesting, if not like practical in the way that we normally think of mouse functionality. I gotta say, this is back to my controller complaint corner. It is weird to me that I can navigate the Switch 2 menu, like the normal game selection menu, using the mouse. That's cool. I like that. But if I click on the Super NES, because I'm heading to Mario Paint, then I gotta pick up the controller and turn it on its side, because I can't navigate that with the mouse. Like, I really should be able to navigate all of those classic libraries with the mouse.
Yeah,
right?
That's interesting.
Just a bizarre little like hiccup. Anyway, my point was that like I don't think that like regular mouse functionality is good enough to like be what they use the mouse for. So if they have these other applications like a click wheel, like a crank that use the optical mouse features, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes me wonder what else they're going to come up with. What's crazy is I did not even imagine that as a possibility.
Right, me neither.
It's a very like Labo kind of thing where you're like, now how in the heck are they thinking of this stuff? All right, Mark, that's the news. Let's close this out. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you for listening. You should join our Discord if you have not already. Email us. I'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening. Bye.